We're going to try this again. Greetings, friends. It's Josh.
And I'm Ryan.
And we're here today for another episode of the Dead Tired Dads podcast.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
It's a podcast for gamers who don't have time to game.
And I'm excited to be back after a month off. You know, I think that this schedule works better for me.
It does.
You know, being able to not feel like we keep talking about this. I feel like, but like feeling like I'm just able to like relax and actually play games.
It weirdly gives us the chance to actually play video games.
Whereas last year when we were trying to do an episode every week. So no, this is good. I like this. But yeah, like we said, first one we'll at least do. One a month, moving forward. So this is our episode for the month of March.
Yep.
So welcome to March, everyone.
March Madness.
So that's what you got going on. You're super excited right now.
I am so excited.
So I bought a new drum set, which I'm super, super stoked about.
You did. That's true.
Yeah, and it's been a lot of fun playing on that over the last couple weeks. I got that fairly recently. And so I'd gone into the drum shop. There's a local drum shop here that I had gone into, and I was, planning on getting one drum set, and we walk in, and my wife goes, "I like that one." And so that was the one that I ended up buying, not the one that I thought I was going to get. Partially because of that, but also partially because it was cheaper, and I was going to have to spend more money on other things. But I took my kids inside the drum shop.
Yeah? How'd that go?
Well, I didn't have much of a choice to begin with. Because it's not like I can leave them in the car while I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to spend, over $1,000 on a musical instrument. Because that's it's a heavy decision one way or another.
It is.
So it was going to take me some time to figure it all out. So yeah, they were in there with us. It was chaotic to say the least.
They didn't touch anything.
Right.
They stood right by your side.
So
they never spoke a word.
If there's one thing that I have learned, it is that my son is probably going to be a drummer.
Yes, I can see that. I can totally see that.
He will at least be he is more musically inclined, I think, than his sister. Although his sister does love singing, she loves music. He is much more drawn to the musical instrument side of things.
All right.
So I think that he's going to want to learn drums soon. As a 2-year-old. And she wants to learn drums as well, but anytime she's also very distractible. So getting her to sit still long enough for me to teach her anything has been a challenge. So yeah, I'm excited about the future there, but that was an adventure,
I could see that.
Having your 2-year-old run around, $1,000, $1,500 things, please don't touch that.
Do not anything.
Stop it. So yeah, that was one of the things that I've done in the last month that's been exciting. So
I like it. Yeah. What have I done in the last month?
I don't know, Ryan. What have you done in the last month?
I've played some video games.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about those.
I've done this really strange thing because I've had more time. I've done this thing that I think the kids call reading.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
It's really fun. I've been reading a Stephen King book, which I've never read Stephen King before. I've read one Stephen King book ever, and it was like a book of short stories, so it wasn't like a full book of his. So
I don't think I've ever read a Stephen King book myself, so
yeah.
I don't. I like a few of his movies and TV shows that have come out.
Yep.
On Hulu, there's a couple that are really good. The Castle Rock series,
yes, I want to see that.
Is really good. And there's another one that's based on this guy who like travels back in time.
I do believe that's the book I'm reading.
Oh, like
11/22/63. Yes, sir.
That one. The show is amazing.
Is it?
The show is amazing.
I've avoided any and all talk of the show until I read the book.
Yeah.
But I want to see the show.
You should. I haven't read the book, but I loved the show. So, something that I should probably do is read the book. But I don't remember, but I feel like I heard... I could be wrong on this, but I feel like I heard that the show was a bad adaptation of the book. But I thought the show was really good.
What? That never happens.
Yeah, so there's that.
Right.
Speaking of books...
Hit me.
I went to the library.
Our library that we love.
Yes, the local library here that we love. I took my daughter one Saturday. And while I was there, I got a couple books that I wanted to read. I've almost finished one of them.
Nice.
This was over a month ago that I took my daughter there. So I have almost finished one of the 2 books that I checked out.
Sounds about right.
So, well, I say almost finished. I'm over halfway through it.
Yes, you've almost finished it.
But while I was there, I did see the video game section.
I told you. I've been telling you
and I was like,
it.
you know what? Awesome. I'm gonna get a game that I've been wanting to play. And so I checked out God of War.
Yeah, I saw you playing that on PlayStation.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was on PlayStation. I played it for a little bit. So this, I don't remember the exact time frame on this, but so I got the game on a Saturday. I couldn't play. I had a bunch of stuff going on for different things on Sunday, so I couldn't play it that Saturday night. And then I can't remember what was going on. I only got to play it for about an hour or so. I played through the first boss guy.
Yep.
And then the next day, you send me a text message.
Oh boy, here we go.
That says, "Did you see the new Nintendo Direct?"
Whoops, I ruined God of War, didn't I?
You did. You absolutely ruined God of War. Because in this Nintendo Direct, they had announced that they were releasing a remaster of Metroid Prime,
that
which
is correct.
If you've listened to this podcast from the beginning, and if you want to know,
Josh doesn't like Metroid.
Metroid Prime is in my top 5 video games of all time.
Yep.
And so I said in the first episode we did that like these are the games that if they release remasters I am going to buy them and I am going to play them.
Well, Josh, did you you get them?
I did. So this goes back again to the physical versus versus digital copy. So they released the digital copy immediately.
Boo.
For purchase.
Yep.
And they were like, you have to wait 2 weeks if you want a physical copy. And I was like, what kind of garbage is that?
Lame.
Like, how are you going to do that to people? You would come out and announce a game like the same day they release it digital. I was so mad.
Get you all excited. Oh, and by the way, you can buy it right now.
Except that you can't.
If you don't want a physical copy.
There were literally points in time where I was like, I can afford to buy this game twice. Right? Because in that time frame, I was in bed sick at home. I believe 2 times.
Oh, that's right, you were.
I believe 2 times I was sick. Maybe that's what happened that Sunday, actually. So no, I was not. It was only one time that I was at home sick in bed. Because the first time was the time that I had gone to the library and I had gotten God of War, and then I was sick the next 2 days. That's what it was.
Aha.
So I couldn't play God of War because I was in bed. See, if I had Metroid and it had been on Switch, I could have...
You could have been laying in bed.
Anyway.
Playing Nintendo Switch.
Beside the point.
So you got God of War from the library.
I played God of War for about an hour, and then I was just like, I can't play this anymore because I'm too excited about Metroid.
There is no other game.
Right. So I started playing Super Metroid on the Nintendo Virtual Console. So
did you?
Yeah.
Just to get ready
just
for Metroid.
Just to kind of like
I love it.
Amp myself up. So instead of playing God of War, a game that I had never played, I played Super Metroid, an old game that I had never played.
Ah, nice.
So I played through that, and guess what I did?
No.
I beat it.
No way. Josh beats games now.
I beat games now.
This is becoming just a thing that you do.
It's a thing that I do now.
It's just normal.
I beat games.
Wow.
I will not lie and say that I did it on my own. So I had to look up several different things while I was playing this game, because I got to be honest, like I enjoyed the game. It was a fun game. Old Metroid games are incredibly difficult.
They're difficult.
Like Metroid Dread was hard, but I never felt like I was lost.
Yeah.
Like I knew where I was in the game. Like I could backtrack to get to to environments that I knew. Okay, like if I turn here, like this is going to bring me into this room. I feel like everything in the old Metroid games just looks the same. So I had a hard time kind of keeping track
like where you'd been
of where I'd been, and the maps aren't as easily followed as they are in the newer. So all that to say, like, thumbs up for Nintendo for being so, like, because you think about it, like the old Metroid games are so in depth in the way that they, like, in their layouts and everything like that. Like, it's just so different than anything else that I feel like was coming out. So like, thumbs up to Nintendo for being that way. But as like someone who's like not used to it, it's incredibly difficult.
So, funny story about how difficult the old Metroid games are. After I borrowed Dread from you, I kind of ranted on this podcast about how like hard of a time I had.
Right.
I won't say names because I don't know if he would want me to or not.
Okay.
But a family member of mine who listens to this told me a hilarious story about how he heard the podcast and then told me a hilarious story about how one of the old Metroid games for either NES or Super Nintendo just frustrated him so much that he took it out of the system, went out in the garage and got a hammer and just smashed it into bits.
Oh, no.
And then...
Oh, no.
Then went to the store and bought another copy of it because he wanted that game. So... I just like...
Oh, Lord.
I think it's funny that we're now talking about how hard old Metroid games are.
I mean, and you think about that, like, they didn't have the internet to look stuff up on. Like,
no,
so it's like... It's like if you get stuck... Like, there were so many times in that game where I was just like, I'm just stuck.
I don't know what to do here.
Like, I feel like I should be able to get to this place, but I can't get there, and I don't know why. and just... There were just so many things, but... I will say this. The bosses were actually easier than Metroid Dread. So I might
actually be able to play it.
The actual fights were easier. Figuring out how to, like, the puzzle, like, figuring out, like, where to go and what to do was much harder. And I feel like if I would have to, like, actually physically draw the map to know, like, myself. Even though in Super Metroid there is an actual map that you can access to kind of see things, to know where you've been and stuff like that. I don't feel like it was as helpful as the newer ones are.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I played and I beat Super Metroid.
There you go. Nice.
And if you want a challenge, and if you enjoy Metroid games, which I do, I really do enjoy Metroid. If you've got the ability to play Super Metroid, I say go for it.
I think I started it shortly after I saw it pop up on the Virtual Console, and I made it about 5 minutes, and then I moved on to something else. I don't know why.
Yeah, no, the first time I sat down to play, I had sat down to play through it, or to play it a little bit at one point. I made it through like the first little level area that they kind of launch you into before I was just like, nope, I don't have time for this right now.
Not doing this.
Yeah, this is going to take me too much time. So
yeah,
it was nice but it was fun, and it is it was a fun game to be able to play, because it's Metroids in general are not super graphic. They're not really like there's no real dialogue most of the time, so it's not like there's cursing or anything like that. You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
So it's a game that you can 100% play.
Yep.
Anytime you want to, without having to worry about your kids. So.
That's true.
Yeah. So I was able, and my daughter loved watching it. My son was eventually like, wanting me to play. So.
There you go.
What that brings up another funny story.
Ooh, here we go. I like funny stories.
There was I think I mentioned, in the last game that I'd played through, or in the last episode for February, I had mentioned that I replayed through Spider-Man on PS4. And my son has really gotten into Spider-Man now. My son loves Spider-Man, everything to do with Spider-Man. He's got, at one point, he has 2 Spider-Man hoodies. And at one point, he was wearing both of them at the same time. And insisted that he needed them both on.
Of course.
So, loves Spider-Man. So I was holding up... the case for Spider-Man because I think the disc had fallen out at some point because he also now likes to open game cases and pull things out, which is aggravating. I've yelled at him more times than I want to have over that, but beside the point. So I held it up and asked him, I was like, hey, where's the game, buddy? Where's the disc?
Yeah.
And he points at the case. And then he crawls over on the couch and grabs the PlayStation 4 controller, which was it was right next to the Nintendo Switch controller.
So he knew.
He knew which controller I needed to play Spider-Man. So
future drummer, future gamer.
I'm not sure if I should be like super proud of him for it or if I should be concerned about it, but in the moment I was proud of him.
I like it.
So anyway, Ryan, what's one of the games that you've been playing?
So I got for Christmas Xenoblade Chronicles.
Oh yeah,
the first one. And if you remember season 1, we had a special guest on.
Yes, absolutely.
Barry. He was on episodes 37 and 38. And one of those episodes, we asked him for his top 5.
Right.
And he mentioned Xenoblade, and I've never played them. Not familiar with them, so I wanted to check him out. And so I've been playing that. I've been working my way through that. I gotta be honest, though, I'm struggling with it.
Okay.
It's enjoyable. The story is interesting, so that's not a problem. It just feels really slow, like... I think when you save the game, it tells you how much time you've played. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm around 15 to 20 hours.
Okay.
And I just feel... I keep thinking, is this ever going to get going?
Is there something going to happen?
Are we going to get moving here or what? And I think part of the problem is there are so many side quests that you could just... never actually play the game. You could just do all these side quests and never actually play the game.
You just level your character up as high as it'll go through side quests and then go play through the main missions and you'll just destroy everybody.
So I'm struggling with it. It's one of those things where I want to play it, but I often turn on my Nintendo, because it's a Nintendo Switch game.
Right.
I turn on my Switch and I press load, and then I turn it off and go do something else. I just can't get myself motivated.
Fair enough.
To play it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's pretty unique. It has a unique combat system that I've never seen before. It is an RPG, but it's not turn-based at all.
Okay. So Josh might actually play this one.
Josh could play this one. It's... you have a party of 3 people, but you can only control 1.
I can deal with that.
So your other 2 party members are just doing their thing.
Right.
And you can, before entering combat, you can decide who you're going to control.
Okay.
But you can, within combat, you can't switch around.
Isn't Knights of the Old Republic, isn't that the same way? Like, don't you only control your main character?
I can't believe I'm going to admit this out loud, but I don't remember.
Okay.
Because that's a great game.
Yeah,
I just don't remember.
I haven't played that one in forever myself. But that game takes forever to get into, so I always have a heart. Like, I always think I want to go back and replay Knights of the Old Republic, but like it's like a 4-hour process to get into the actual story.
Yeah, I've actually had that on my little, you know how on the Switch you can put your wish list?
Yeah.
I've had that on my wish list since the day it released. And about 3 or 4 times I've almost pulled the trigger on it, and I just haven't done it yet.
But anyway, I don't mean to distract, but
so yeah, I can't remember, but
I feel like that's the same way that you only like you can't choose like you can in that, but you only control your person.
Yours.
Gotcha. Everyone else does their own thing. I think that's right. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
So, and if I am, someone can correct me kindly.
So the thing, so I don't struggle with the concept. You can only control one, whatever. The thing that's unique, and I've come to somewhat appreciate, if you control the main character, he is sort of, his role is, he's sort of a glass cannon. Like, he can do huge bursts of damage. But he can't take a hit very well. So one of your skills that you actually have, which I can't remember the name of, but it basically, like, drops aggro. So when you have to strategize and understand combat styles, because there's a party member who you want to be the one getting attacked.
Okay.
He is like a tank. He just eats damage and keeps on chugging. But you often draw the attention of enemies because of how much damage you're doing if you're the main character.
Gotcha.
So that's something I've sort of had to find a balance, because my natural inclination is to just do as much damage as I can. Just,
right.
Lay it on thick.
Well, that's an interesting wrench to kind of throw in people's...
Yeah, so that's what I'm kind of wrestling with, and that's why I say it's unique, because it's making me sort of hesitate. I have these really strong attacks I can do, but I'm holding back, or I'm only doing a few because I don't want to draw attention.
Right.
So combat is very unique. I don't know, without remembering Knights of the Old Republic, I don't know that I've experienced this style of combat before, but it's fun. I like that it's not turn-based. Yeah. I do like that. But yeah, I'm just really struggling to get into it.
Fair enough.
And I have read that, because we often reference howlongtobeat.com.
Right.
I have read that if you just do the main story and nothing else, you're talking about 65 to 70 hours.
Good gracious.
So I'm sitting here at 15 hours going, man, I'm really struggling to get into this. And I know I've done a bunch of side quests.
Oh my goodness.
I just am struggling to... Maybe Barry will listen to this episode and he'll give me some motivation.
Maybe.
Because I'm struggling. I want to like this game. I want to play it. But I just...
Maybe you should just focus on, like, next time you sit down to play, just
abandon all side quests.
Just go follow that. I mean, whatever
straight ahead,
that yellow marker to the main mission, and just chunk it away.
Maybe so.
My problem with doing that though in games is that, like, once I think that should be my goal, is to do that, to just chunk away the main mission, and then it, like, gets to the end of the game and I'm like, wait a second, I've skipped out on all the side quests.
Yeah.
That's why I don't finish games a lot of times, is because, like, I've done just that. I've just, like, focused so hard on getting the main missions done.
There's so much of this world,
and then I haven't explored anything. Wait a second, I'm not ready to be done.
Yeah.
And, like, so then I have to run around and explore everything, and then it's like, oh wait, where's that? What was I doing? Like, what's the main mission again?
Yeah.
And then it's like the end of the game, and I'm like, oh wait, no, I'm still not there.
So if you play video games at all, you know that NPC, non-playable character, like, you enter a city or a town and there's this random guy standing there with an exclamation over his head. Oh, he has a quest for me or a mission for me. I kid you not, I had one guy. I am used to video games where I see the exclamation, I go talk to you, you give me the mission, off I go.
Right.
I had this one guy give me 6 missions, like back to back to back to back.
In one conversation?
Yeah, so
What the heck?
I finished the conversation, and I went to run away with my character, and the exclamation was still there. So I was like, what is going on? So I went back and talked to him again. And then I went to run away, and there was still an exclamation. I did that 6 times.
Oh, wow.
How much, like... Jeez. At one point, I started judging this
that guy,
digital person.
That NPC,
like, you are so
help.
lame. You can't do anything.
You need to seek professional help from a therapist. Leave my hero alone.
So, no, but I've been playing that. And like I said, the story's good. It's interesting. maybe I do need to focus up a little bit. Just charge ahead to the main mission.
Follow that yellow exclamation point to the or that yellow dot to the next main mission. I just remembered in our conversation here, this has nothing to do with video games or with anything that we were just talking about.
That's good, because I had nothing else to say about Xenoblade, and I had no segue for where to go next.
Okay, well, this is good. So this is just a completely random thought that I had because of the way that I said something. It made me think. It reminded me that I wanted to mention this. So, this is just something that I have discovered recently that I just absolutely love.
Okay.
Nothing to do with anything that we usually talk about in this podcast, but I wanted to share it because I think it's fun. There is a section of YouTubers that I am just now becoming familiar with, called scam baiters.
Scam baiters. Okay.
So they basically, if you have something that pops up on your computer from like a website saying that like you have a virus, call this number to help, and we'll help you remove it. They actually call those people.
Yes.
Intentionally.
Of course.
To one, take up a ton of their time to keep them from stealing money from people.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And two, to try to shut them down.
Yep.
So the main guy that I found is it's a guy who has his YouTube channel is Scammer Payback.
Okay.
And he goes by the name Pierogi. So I highly recommend looking up Scammer Payback. He does some of his, like when he's first starting, he does like these he does all of these different. He has like a voice filter, and he talks like this old lady.
Sure. Yeah.
And he has this name. Her name is Veronica Rogers, or not Veronica. Vivian Rogers.
Vivian Rogers.
Okay. Vivian Rogers, and he has this voice, and he does this thing, and it's this is Vivian Rogers, and it's just so funny. And it got to a point where like he was trying, when he would call into these people, they knew who he was. because of his YouTube channel. Yes. Like the scammers knew who he was. But what he would do when they would try to like hack into his or not hack it, when they would try to like access his computer through like TeamViewer or AnyDesk or any of those like screen sharing things, he would get them. He would be like, I can't get it to work. You have to give me yours.
He reversed it
so that so that we can get it to work. And so he would reverse it and get their tags, and then go into their computers while they're accessing his, and he would just delete all of their files and stuff So it's just absolutely amazing. I've literally found out about this guy on Saturday night.
Yep.
And I have just watch tons of his stuff because
not all heroes wear capes.
He's amazing.
That's
He's
funny.
Absolutely
that
amazing.
Is so funny.
They and another one of the things that I found out that they do, there was one video I watched where he had actually gone in into one of the hackers, one of the scammers' computers, and he saw a chat that he was having. In the files that he was going through, he saw a live chat of things that were of active scams, of active people that they were working with their contact information and everything. So he calls these people up, and he's like, "Hey, if you're getting contacted by these people, you need to stop.
Just so you know,
this is a scam. I work. This is who I am. You can go check out my YouTube channel. You can see who I am. You need to stop mess." And so he talked with one guy on this video that I watched, and it was I talked with them for a little bit. I realized, I appreciate you reaching out. I'm not going to go forward with. The next one that he calls is they stole $2,400 from me in gift cards.
No.
And then he's like, look, I want to help you. I'm going to give you your money back. I've got this, I have my Patreons and everything. They contribute money to me for this kind of thing.
Huh. That's cool.
So that like I'm going to like mail you a check, and then he's like, well, wait a second, you don't live that far from me. I'm actually flying down that way next week. I'm going to hand deliver you a check for 20. Just like this really like, so it's just like if we were gonna do a segment of like outside things of video games that I just like think is amazing, and I like, this guy is awesome. So go look up Scammer Payback and give him some love.
Scammer Payback. That's awesome.
On YouTube. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So just a shout out to that. So that's a different, completely off topic from anything that we do. But like I said, it was just the way that I said something. It reminded me of Vivian Rogers.
That's cool. I love hearing stuff like that.
No, just a really cool thing that I've discovered recently that I really like. So, well, that leads me into my next game.
Yeah.
Which is obviously
I wonder what it's going to be.
Metroid Prime Remastered. So I've got a lot of Metroid.
Because you waited the 2 weeks.
Yeah, I waited the 2 weeks. I pre-ordered my physical copy, which again, okay. Let me go ranting on GameStop again.
Yes, we've never done that before. Let's do it again.
Gracious. Yeah, no. Excuse me while I clear my throat to begin this rant. I pre-ordered this game because I was like, I want to get the game, as soon as I can when it comes out.
Yes.
So the Tuesday that it releases, I'm thinking, okay, it's out, it came out on Tuesday. It's Tuesday. I'm going to stop at GameStop.
Give me my game.
On my lunch break and pick up my game, and I'm going to go home. I'm going to eat my sandwich as quick as I possibly can. I'm going to get that thing loaded in, and I'm going to play through like the first 30 minutes of the game.
And as you can tell by where this is going, that's exactly what happened.
I go to GameStop, and it's not in yet. Like, what do you mean it's not in? It releases today. How do you not have copies of it?
So what did you do with my money that I gave you?
Like... And I get it. Like, they announced it 2 weeks ago. They haven't gotten the copies out. Whatever. Like, okay, get your distribution act together. But like, they're apparently waiting on FedEx to deliver this game the day of the release. Like, why is this not really like? Why did you not have this? Like, and maybe this isn't GameStop's fault. Maybe whatever. I don't care. Like, that is ridiculous. You should, if the game releases on a day, it should be there on the day.
I bet they didn't have any trouble collecting your money when you paid for it.
Right, absolutely. Fortunately, I was very grateful that I got a call before I left work that day that it was in fact in. So I got it, at 5 when I got off work. But good gracious, I was so frustrated. But
I remember this because we were texting about it.
Yeah, no, we were. I texted you that that I was planning on doing that, and that I couldn't do it.
It didn't happen.
Freaking GameStop.
So I should not pre-order the new Zelda from.
Should have bought it from Walmart. That's.
Oh man, you're in a tough spot when you got to say that.
I mean, but seriously, like I probably would have been better off like not pre-ordering.
You probably would have got it.
And I probably could have gone into Walmart that day and bought a copy of it on my lunch break and could have had it. Probably. I don't know, because I didn't have time to go check Walmart.
Ironically, because I know where you're referring to, those two locations are physically about
right next to each other.
4.5 feet apart.
They're right next to each other. So, anyway. So, but I did play, and I did beat Metroid Prime Remastered.
Yay. Josh beat another game. That's
so in the last, since the last time we recorded, I have beaten 2 games.
2 Metroid
games. Now granted, Metroid games are historically, made for speedrunning. Like, so like one of the things about Metroid games is like, okay, like how fast can you beat it so you can unlock the hidden ending. I feel like I beat Super Metroid in under 10 hours, I think. And then I beat Metroid Prime Remastered in around 18
That's pretty good.
hours. So, now, I got to be honest, I did have to look a few things up, mostly because like things just weren't clear to me. As like I was in the right place, but like it wasn't like what I was doing wasn't working. and I needed to be. The reason what I was doing wasn't working was because the game expected me to be in a different place doing the same thing. So there was one thing in particular that I was just like, I'm shooting this thing, I'm expecting it to fall down. It's not not doing this working? It's not falling. I had to be at a different, like, the game was programmed that you had to be in a very specific spot to shoot it and make it fall. So, and I just couldn't figure that out. And once I looked it up, I was like, oh, that's stupid.
Dumb.
But I had beaten it before without help, I'm fairly certain. So, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember if I looked up stuff the first time I played through it.
Claim it. Claim it.
But anyway.
Who's going to question it?
I don't want to be dishonest.
Okay, that's fair.
You know.
That's fair.
Feel like I'm an honest guy, right? People can trust me. Now give me your login so I can get onto your computer. See,
Call
we're
back.
Bringing it back.
Call back.
Anyway, I really... Obviously, the game's in my top 5, so I obviously love the game.
Naturally.
The remaster is beautifully done. They did a great job updating the controls. I honestly cannot remember the GameCube controls because the last time I played it was on the Wii remaster, which had the motion controls where you're aiming with the Wii remote. And I sold my copy of the GameCube version, which I'm shooting myself for right now, because I really would like to kind of go back and see how the controls felt.
Yeah.
Because I know that it didn't have the dual control stick.
Right.
The way that this does. So having that dual control stick definitely did feel natural for the game. And they do have a throwback version that you can do to make it more like the GameCube controls.
Yeah.
You can also use motion controls if you wanted to set it up for that. So they have all 3 versions that you can choose for the controlling, which is really cool.
That is cool.
I haven't tried. I haven't experimented with the motion controls. I'm hesitant to because of my experiences with the Switch's motion stuff. You know, we've all discussed that before. So, I think I thought it was fun on the Wii. I just don't trust the Switch motion stuff right now. They need something to correct that.
Yep.
Overall, I love what they did. I love the changes they made. I love not changes, but the graphic. It looks beautiful. It looks great. Tons of fun. My biggest complaint is that there are parts of the game that are just too dark. And maybe it was something I should have adjusted on my television that could have made it better.
Oh, wow. Okay. You're meaning physically, literally looking at the screen and it's too dark to see.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Not dark as in...
I thought you meant like, wow, this content is dark.
Yeah, no. The content's,
Yeah.
There are parts that are a little bit, obviously it's 3D, it's, first person, so there's some more sense of terror in certain aspects of the game, but still largely family friendly. But like there are just points in the game where you're like, I can't see where I'm at. And so I'm like hopping around trying to and it's just a matter of like, okay, adjusting to like, once you get through that part once, I'm just not going to that section anymore. Yeah. Right. I don't need to.
Huh.
So I think I think I said about 90-ish% complete. Yep. I didn't quite get all of the collectibles and I missed one or two things in the scan log that they have. But I've unlocked hard mode now, and I intend to, at some point, go back and play through it on hard mode.
Masochists.
And I feel like I can do it once you play through. That's the thing with Metroid games, though. Like, they do that so that you can go, because once you've done it, if you do it, if you sit down and play through the game, like, okay, now I know
how to do it.
Now I know the puzzles. Now I know the situation, what I'm trying to do. So you don't spend as much time trying to solve things. Mm-hmm. As long as you do it close enough together. Like that was the thing with Dread. for me when like I played through Dread. Like I blew through it, or I beat it the first time in like 17 hours, and then the next time I played through it, I beat it in like 4.
Oh my gosh!
Because I knew where to go. I knew where to go. I knew
Yeah.
what I needed to get next. If I sat down and played through Dread now, I'd probably be back up in the 15 hour mark. So unlocking that hard mode, yes, it makes it harder because you're the bosses and the enemies are tougher, but the game itself is easier because you already kind of have an idea about where you're going and what kind of things you're going to come up against. So yeah, no, I think they did a great job with it. I really do hope that they release Metroid Prime 2 and 3 remastered before Metroid Prime 4 comes out by 2030. And the thing is, like, the first Metroid Prime is the one that I've played the most. 2 and 3, I played through. I tried playing through 2 again. It's just not as good. It's just not as good as the first one. Metroid Prime 3, I really, really, really enjoyed. I really liked it. I haven't played through it again because anytime I want to sit down and play it, I'm like, oh, I want to play through the whole trilogy.
Of course.
So I have to start with 1. So I'll play 1, and then I get into 2, and I'm like,
I'm not doing this.
This game is so annoying. Like, there are just parts of 2 that I'm just like, this is just stupid. I hate this. So, so I've only played through 3 one time. But it's from my memory, from my recollection, from college when it came out, on the Wii, it was a really great game.
Nice.
So,
there you go.
Excuse me. Good gracious.
So
yeah.
Lots of Metroid.
Metroid Prime remastered. Go buy it. It's very cheap
just not from GameStop. No, I'm just kidding. If
you can get it from GameStop, do it. But support the dying industry, for crying out loud.
Physical copies, people. Come on.
Absolutely. So, anyway, that's what I've played.
Nice. Well, apparently this episode is brought to you by Nintendo.
Obviously.
Because I've been playing Zelda, the Minish Cap.
Oh, nice! Funny story, so is my daughter.
Nice. Is she liking it?
I guess. I mean, she hasn't played. I don't know that she's played it recently, but like there were a couple of times where I came in and she was playing, and I was like, "Oh, you're playing Zelda. I support this.
I approve of this decision.
Stamp of approval."
So I think, if I'm remembering correctly, the Nintendo Direct that you referenced earlier in the episode.
Yes.
They announced all within that Nintendo Direct. They announced the Metroid Prime remaster.
Yes.
And also the virtual consoles of Game Boy and Game Boy Advance.
Yes, they did mention all of that.
Which
I'm gonna pause.
Yes,
I'm gonna pause you because I just remembered something that we said that we were gonna do in our last episode that we did.
Oh, okay. So I actually have a note right here.
Okay, never mind.
So we're getting there.
Okay, good deal.
So they announced the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance virtual consoles, which I'm glad you called them that because when I was writing my notes, I never know what to call those things. So if you're not familiar with the Nintendo Switch, how it works is you can, if you are a Nintendo Switch Online member, you get, I always referred to them as emulators.
Yes.
But they're not, because it's made by Nintendo,
right.
And emulators are made by third-party people trying to emulate. But these are virtual consoles.
Correct.
Where you can play old games, old Game Boy games, old Nintendo 64 games, etc.
Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo.
Yep, that's right. So they announced during that Nintendo Direct the Game Boy Advance Virtual Console, and I absolutely loved the Game Boy Advance. That was one of my favorite portable systems. Very excited about some of the games that are coming out for it, but I had never played this game. So I think I've mentioned in the past that I shamefully have only played a few Zeldas. The very first one, the second one, Ocarina of Time, and Breath of the Wild.
That is a shame.
Are the only Zeldas I've ever played.
Yeah.
So it's sort of been in the back of my mind that I want to, especially with access being easier and easier, I want to go back and play some of those.
Absolutely.
So when I saw this on there, I wanted to play it. So before I go any further, my note here.
Oh, there it is.
One of my notes that I made was because I was wondering about virtual consoles and how do old games hold up. So you played one, and you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Super Metroid. I played Minish Cap, but what you were referring to just a second ago is on our last episode, we said as soon as we finished recording, we are going to go play GoldenEye.
And we did.
And we did. So maybe I shouldn't ask the question, how do old games hold up, and then lead right into GoldenEye. So Josh, you want to tell us about our experience playing GoldenEye?
I had a great time.
Well, yeah, I had a blast.
It was a ton of fun.
But why were we having so much fun?
Well, part of it was the control. Like, the controls were absolutely impossible to do. Like,
yes, they were.
And now I was screwing around. Like, they have different within the game. There are different control modes that you can pick. And so I was trying to find...
You were trying to find a good one.
Like, the one that was good. And it wasn't there.
There wasn't one.
There was not one that was good. Now, there is a feature that you can turn on that's auto-aim.
Yeah?
That makes your life a lot easier.
I'm going to say a lot is a strong...
No, like
I'm gonna go with a little easier.
No, we didn't play with it when we were playing.
I thought we did.
No, we did
I'm
not.
almost certain we did.
We did not play with the auto aim. I don't think we did.
I feel like we need to, after this episode,
we gotta
consult with your wife, who was laughing hysterically.
Well, she's in bed. Okay. So at the time of this recording.
So at a later point, we need to consult with her. Because she was there and she saw how bad it was, but I thought we had auto aim on. But I very well could be wrong.
I feel like it was something I found after you left.
Okay.
And I could be wrong. I mean, this was over a month ago at this point, so dad brain, whatever.
True.
Old age. I can't always remember things the way that I used to be able to. So I could be misremembering, but I feel like I found it after you left. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. You could turn on the auto-aim, and that makes life easier for everybody. I think that the Game Pass version that they released actually did update the controls.
Ah, okay.
Nintendo did not.
They forewent that.
Because their virtual console is pretty much strictly... Here's the game as it was.
Yep.
Like, that's what the virtual console is. It is not updating anything about the game. So, but no, I think I had a blast playing the game.
Oh.
I actually,
so much fun.
I actually do want to go and play through, the actual, story in the game. Because I've only done that 1 or 2 times. So, yeah, no, I want to. I just haven't taken the opportunity to do it yet.
So I also had a blast. The reason I had a blast is because I was also laughing hysterically at how bad we were.
Yeah, no, we were terrible.
It was just you and me, and the whole objective was to find the other person, which there's a radar telling you where they are, and then go kill them.
Yeah. And
we couldn't do it. We could not do it.
I don't know. I feel like I was able to kill you.
Okay, yeah. To win, you had to get to 5, and it took 20 minutes.
Well, part of that was I was screwing around with the controls, and some of the control schemes literally had me trying to use the right joystick.
Yes.
And also push the buttons on the Switch controller, which are also on the right. So it's not like I couldn't move and shoot at the same time.
There was one time where I was cackling because every time you ran past me, you were just looking straight up in the air. Every time. And again, I still couldn't kill you.
Yeah, no, it was.
But it was a blast.
It was fun.
It was
a lot of fun. So if you want to, get some chuckles in,
it was fun.
So anyway, Minish Cap.
So I was asking the question: how do old games hold up? And I don't have anything to compare to because I haven't played this before. But it seems like a really fun game. Yeah. I'm enjoying it. The concept, I think the concept is really cool.
I've never actually played Minish because I did not have a Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
So I was not.
So the basic concept is, you'll be so surprised. The game starts. You're with the princess. Something happens to the princess.
Right.
You've got to go rescue her.
Oh no!
I know. You can't believe that would happen in a Zelda game. So, she gets taken, and then so the basic concept beyond that is. There's these people called the Minish.
Okay.
And they are tiny, like so small you can't see them.
Okay.
And there's this type of magic that will shrink you down. Shrink Link down to their size. So you are sort of swapping back and forth between this teeny tiny version of Link to his normal size.
Gotcha.
So you're out in the woods or out, doing something. And the only way to progress is you gotta shrink down. So it's kind of cool because then all of a sudden you're so tiny that one leaf is like 80 times the size you are.
Interesting.
So it's just a cool, cool little concept.
Well, they've done that several times in different Zelda games on handhelds, where it's like instead of in the 3DS, I can't think of Link Between Worlds.
That sounds familiar.
I think, yeah, A Link Between Worlds. You go from like a 3D character to like a 2D.
Oh,
like,
right,
on the
right,
wall,
yeah,
You walk along like a piece of artwork or a piece of graffiti on the wall.
Yep.
And that gets you into different places that you wouldn't have been able to access otherwise. So, they do that. They do things like that with their handheld games. I think handheld Zelda's a little bit more after that. So as well. So
yeah. So it's a cool concept. I like it. I think I want to say I'm about halfway through it, so probably by our next episode I'll be able to say that I beat it. But yeah, I'm having fun.
I haven't, like I said, I haven't played it myself. I've seen my daughter play.
Yeah,
it, like she's gotten to the point now where she'll get up, on a Saturday morning and just go do something on her own without bothering us.
Yeah.
Which is nice. So like. But, just one of those things where she started playing while I was at work and she had gotten home from school so I haven't been able to like watch her play it, but so I know that she is playing it and what I've seen, looks fun.
Well, it kind of has some comedy to it, I like unintentionally almost. But so one of the things that happens is if you're walking around the world and you see like this little puddle, you just walk through it. Well, if you come to that puddle when you're shrunk down...
It's a lake.
It's a lake that you don't actually die, but if you step into it, like...
Right, there's no swimming.
It pops you back out to the side of the lake.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of funny because, wait a minute, I just stepped through that a minute ago, and now it's a lake. And then there's other things that happen where... like the chief of this Minish village told me to go to the... how did he say it? I think he said, go to the far, far southeast. And I had a hard time finding it. And I discovered that I actually had to go back to full size. And then it was like 3 steps to the southeast, which wasn't far at all. So it's got some like,
that's
some
fun. That's fun.
Yeah. So I'm having fun with it.
Cool.
Yeah.
The virtual console concept, I think, is brilliant. I loved it.
Oh, it's amazing.
I loved it when they first came out with the idea on the Wii, and the idea that you could buy games, that you previously would have just been lost to history, or you had to, get illegally, or that you had to have owned or still own.
Yep.
Which I'm a fan of, but also, for games that are rare or hard to find, like Super Metroid. Like if I was to buy a copy of Super Metroid, that thing is over. Like you're paying more than new game price. For a game like that.
Right.
So like that game's basically inaccessible.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't have access to it on the virtual console. So I think it's a really cool thing to be able to have. As big a fan as I am of physical things, like the virtual console, I think is a great thing. So,
well, I think it gives an opportunity to play games that you may have missed, or
yeah,
like I've mentioned many times. Like this is a good example actually. When I was a kid and a teenager, I just wasn't that into Nintendo.
Yeah.
Outside of, I think I've talked about, I was a big Pokemon fan. Outside of that, I really wasn't into Nintendo much. My brother was. He had all the Nintendo systems, but I was into Xbox and then PlayStation.
Right.
So I just missed a lot of these great games, and so this is it's a good way to, like, I'm looking forward to Majora's Mask. Never played it. Minish Cap. First time I've ever played it.
Right.
So.
Majora's Mask is a challenge. It's a different.
I remember you talking.
It's a different kind of Zelda game.
Yeah.
I'm waiting. Like they released Twilight Princess remastered on the Wii U.
Yep.
I really, really do hope that they, since they released Skyward Sword.
Yep.
As a remaster on the Switch, I don't think they're going to, but I wish they would release Twilight Princess on the Switch.
2 more that I haven't played.
Because Twilight Princess is just... Ocarina of Time is my top. Twilight Princess is very close.
I've heard people say that before.
Like, Twilight Princess is very close. It's such a great...
What's number 3?
Game. Well, I mean, Breath of the Wild. Like,
I love Breath of the Wild so much.
I mean, it's hard because like Twilight Princess, I love there's all 3 of those are so close together. Twilight Princess, I feel like was the true successor to Ocarina of Time. It was the first Zelda game after Ocarina of Time that felt like Ocarina of Time again.
Yeah.
That it was kind of like, let's try to make this hyper real, like is more realistic looking and feeling, and let's, make this world very interesting and cool. Like, I didn't feel like any of the other Zelda games in between those two did that, which I guess,
gotcha.
I guess there were only 2. There was Majora's Mask and there was Wind Waker. Majora's Mask, I love Majora's Mask. It's but it's just a different feel than Ocarina of Time. And Wind Waker, I didn't like it when it was on. Well, I didn't love it when I played through it on GameCube. I played through it on the Wii U when they released the remaster of it, and I could kind of appreciate it a little bit more. But it just doesn't feel like Ocarina of Time did. Twilight Princess really felt to me like Ocarina of Time, and then Breath of the Wild, it's just different. Like, it's in a different class of Zelda games.
It is. I mean, as I've mentioned, I don't have as much to compare to, but it's certainly different. And if you read reviews, people either love or hate that it's different.
I really appreciate what they did with Breath of the Wild. I'm really looking forward to the new one.
I can't tell. I really, really like Breath of the Wild a lot. I go back and forth on whether or not I like it more than Ocarina of Time. I can't tell if I'm doing that because of nostalgia factor or what.
Well, there's something... For so many people, Ocarina of Time was their first Zelda game.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yes.
There's something to be said about a game that introduces people to the world, right? So Ocarina of Time is the first Zelda game that really gives you an idea about what a Zelda game can be, right? In as things are kind of coming along, as things are progressing. The first Zelda game, it's for what it is incredibly, innovative and incredibly, interesting. But it was niche, right? It's a niche kind of concept.
It
Zelda 2, I think, personally was a misstep.
Didn't care for it.
In neither of those games I've ever actually beaten. I've just played them. And then and then a lot of people really appreciate A Link to the Past and think that's a great, a good introduction. I've tried playing that one multiple times. I have not, again, not something I've been able to beat.
Okay.
I've tried multiple times to sit down and play it. I just can't, I can't. I don't know what it is. I just can't.
Interesting.
And then there's several different Game Boy, or at least one Game Boy, one. Maybe that one. I might be confusing my titles. Anyway, beside the point.
There's lots of Zelda games.
But Ocarina of Time was the first one that really opened the doors for people who weren't in the niche.
Yeah.
Or niche, however you want to say that word.
It also had the in my own biased opinion, which Josh will probably agree with, it also had the fortune of being on the best console ever made. So
Correct.
There's that.
Absolutely. And then, so in between that and Breath of the Wild, you had all kinds of different things that kind of happened with technology and things like that. So Breath of the Wild, I think, is that next step in... This is a new thing that kind of opens the door to kind of break out of the niche.
Yep.
Right? So we'll see how they do with the new one.
What's it called?
Tears of the Kingdom?
Yeah.
Something like that.
I'm looking forward to that one.
No, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it'll be great. Anyway, we have gone on long enough, and I think, unless anything else to add.
Nope. That's all I got.
So maybe between now and our next episode, they'll have released another Nintendo Direct with more
stuff,
random announcements that excite and maybe they'll announce the release of Metroid Prime 4 within 2 weeks. Ha 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 ha.
Wishful thinking.
Wishful
Josh.
thinking for yeah. So anyway, thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Dead Tired Dads podcast. We appreciate your ears. Thanks for sticking with us. And if you like this episode, what can they do, Ryan?
All the things.
Do all the things. That's right.
Like, subscribe, shares, social media. Yeah.
Whatever you do, we're in some of those places. So yeah, we appreciate it, and we will catch you on the next episode of the Dead Tired Dads podcast.
Bye.